Okay, what if I told you that the biggest thing holding you back from real wealth, it's not your smarts, it's not your background, it's not even luck. Nope. According to entrepreneur Layla Hormozy, it's all in your head. Seriously, building wealth, it turns out, is a psychological game. And today, we're going to learn the rules.
And here's the thing. Her whole argument is that most of us are running on a broke mindset without even having a clue. So in this breakdown, we're going to unpack the 6 biggest limiting beliefs she's identified, and way more importantly, we'll get into the exact mental shifts you need to make to finally break through and start building some real wealth.
All right, first up, we have to talk about something called your financial identity. And this is the absolute bedrock. It's like this set of unconscious rules you follow, right? The story you're constantly telling yourself about you and money, and believe it or not, that story controls almost every single financial decision you make. Yeah, financial psychologists actually have a name for this. They call it your money script. And the best way to think about it is like software. It's software that got programmed into your brain when you were a little kid, way before you even knew what a dollar was. And it's just running in the background all the time, influencing everything. What job you take, what you charge for your work, even how you feel just swiping your credit card. Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, because researchers have basically boiled it down to 4 main scripts. I want you to take a look at this and be really honest with yourself. Which one of these sounds like you? First, you've got the money avoider. This is the person who deep down thinks money is kind of bad or that they just don't deserve it. Then there's the money worshiper, chasing that next dollar, convinced it's the key to happiness. Third, the money status script, where your self-worth is totally tied to your net worth. And last, the money vigilant. This is actually where Hormozy saw herself. You're always worried about security, super anxious, even if you've got plenty of money in the bank. So, see yourself in any of those? And this idea of a money script leads right into this concept of a wealth ceiling. It's brilliant, really. Your self-concept, your identity, it acts just like a thermostat in your house. So if you see yourself as, say, a $100,000 a year person, your internal thermostat is set to 100K. If you start making more, you'll unconsciously find ways to sabotage it and bring it back down. And if you start making less, you'll work like crazy to get it back up. Your identity literally keeps you locked in at that financial temperature. So what's the solution? You have to consciously rewrite the script. And Hormozy gives this super simple but powerful exercise. Grab a piece of paper. On one side, write down your current script. Be honest. Something like, I'm the kind of person who always struggles with money. Then on the other side, you write the new script you want to live by. I'm the kind of person who builds and manages wealth with ease. And she says the first step is just to be able to write that down and look at it without feeling gross or like a liar. That's the start. Okay, so we've got our identity sorted. Building right on top of that is our second theme, your financial mindset. Think of this as the emotional lens you see every single dollar through. And it really all boils down to 2 completely opposite ways of thinking: scarcity versus abundance. Now, your scarcity brain, that's your caveman brain. It's an ancient survival mechanism. It sees the world as a finite pie, right? If someone else gets a big slice, that means there's less for you. And what's wild is that science shows this mindset literally shrinks your cognitive bandwidth, forcing you into these short-term panicked decisions. But the abundance brain, it sees an infinite pie. It knows that value isn't taken, it's created. And that mindset just opens you up to all these new opportunities and investments. And wow, does this story just perfectly illustrate the difference? Hormozy tells this insane story about hiring a coach for $40,000 a month, at a time when her company was only making $50,000 a month in profit. Her scarcity brain was absolutely screaming, "This is insane, you're gonna go broke." But her abundance brain saw it as a crucial investment. And guess what? That coach was the key that unlocked her ability to scale the company and eventually sell it for tens of millions of dollars. What a bet. Want the simplest way to start training that abundance brain of yours? Here it is. The very next time you catch yourself thinking, "Ugh, I can't afford this," stop and immediately reframe it as a question. How could I afford this? It feels like such a small thing, but that one little word shift takes your brain from a dead end, a closed door, and opens it up to creative problem solving. It's a total game changer. All right, let's talk about another huge glitch in our mental software. It's called loss aversion. And honestly, this concept, which comes from Nobel Prize-winning research, explains so much about why we get stuck. Stuck in jobs we hate, in bad relationships, in crappy investments. It's because we are biologically, primally wired to avoid a loss at all costs. And here's the core finding, which is just staggering. The psychological pain of losing something is twice,
2 times as powerful as the pleasure you get from gaining the exact same thing. Think about that. Losing a $100 bill feels twice as bad as the joy you get from finding one. And that simple fact explains why we are so terrified of taking risks, even when the potential payoff is massive. So how in the world do you fight back against a primal fear like that? Well, you can't erase it, but you can reframe it. And Hormozy's strategy is brilliant. You start to view every single financial loss not as a failure, but as tuition. You just paid for an education, you bought a lesson that's going to make you millions down the road. She even talks about a recent business mistake and said, yep, I paid $3 million to learn that lesson, and you know what? I'd pay it again. That's a powerful mindset. All right, so we've worked on the internal stuff, our identity, our mindset. For this last section, let's get super practical. Let's look at the actual external strategies that wealthy people use. Because it's not just about how you think, it's about what you actually do with your money and with your time. And it really all starts with this legendary quote from Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The rich buy assets, the middle class buys liabilities thinking they are assets. Honestly, when you boil it all down, building wealth is this simple. You just have to know the difference between two things. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That's it. Period. So let's make this super concrete. Your car, that's a liability. It's constantly taking money out of your pocket for gas, insurance, maintenance. But what about a course that teaches you a new high-income skill? That's an asset because it's designed to put more money into your pocket. A rental property that cash flows every month? Asset. A fancy designer handbag? Liability. The huge mental shift here is to stop asking, can I afford this? And start asking a much smarter question. Will this pay me back? And this brings us to the final and maybe the most important limiting belief of them all, the time trap. See, most of us spend our entire lives trying to save money. We'll drive across town to save a few bucks on gas. We'll spend hours doing our own yard work. But while we're saving a little bit of money, we are wasting our only truly finite, non-renewable resource, our time. You can always make more money. You can never, ever make more time. Wealthy people get this on a deep, deep level. They don't just spend money on things. They use their money to buy back their time. And here's the simple 3-step formula for how you can start doing this too. First, calculate your actual hourly rate. Just take your annual income and divide it by 2,000. Step 2, do an audit of your time. Look at your week and identify every single task you're doing that's worth less than that hourly rate. And finally, step 3, you buy back your time. You hire help, you use software, you automate those low-value tasks. Just think about it. If you make $100 an hour and you spend 2 hours cleaning your house to save $50 on a cleaning service, you didn't save $50. You cost yourself $150. Okay, so there you have it. We've gone deep on the psychology of money. We've covered your core financial identity, your emotional mindset, and your practical strategy. Everything from rewriting that deep-seated money script to reframing every loss as tuition, to finally understanding that your time is worth more than your money. But look, the real question isn't about what you just learned. It's about what you're going to do with it. So I'll leave you with this. Which one of these beliefs, just one, are you going to start rewriting today?